In this video, I'm going to be talking about the DSM-5. So this is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition. This is the book that says every possible psychological disorder you can be diagnosed with. This was created by the American Psychiatric Association. That is the group that is in charge of creating this. And this is the most commonly used system for diagnosing psychological disorders. This new edition came out just last year in 2013, and there have been some controversies associated with it. It was a total rewrite of the system. They've changed the way the axes work, they've changed diagnoses, they've changed criteria. They've added stuff, they've taken stuff out. The main controversies, there's three that you need to know for the purposes of this class. One is that some diagnoses haven't fared very well in field trials. What this means is when they go out into the field, when they have psychologists actually try to diagnose people, they won't necessarily get the same diagnosis for different or for the same person. For example, antisocial personality disorder or generalized anxiety disorder have very low matches between psychologists actually diagnosing people in the field. So some diagnoses, once you actually get on the ground in the real world, maybe not so accurate. Another complaint is that some disorders, diagnoses cast too wide of a net so that normal behavior might get diagnosed as a disorder. So it casts too wide of a net. For example, one big controversy with this is connected to depression. And now if you have bereavement, if you are sad because someone close to you died, you can be diagnosed with depression, where previously that was an exception. You weren't allowed to be diagnosed with depression because of grief. So potentially what is normal grief can now be diagnosed as a disorder when it's just the way normal people get sad. So potentially there's too wide of a net. We'll also talk about this for things like binge eating disorder. If you go a little too wild over the holidays and eat too much, potentially you meet the criteria for binge eating disorder. Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, maybe that's just kids throwing a tantrum. So there is some complaints about that. And then finally, the third complaint is labels are just society's value judgments. And we'll talk about this in class, how a label can really affect you in significant ways and affect the way people see you. So it can lead to self-fulfilling behavior. It can lead to people assuming certain things about you that aren't necessarily true. So these are some of the complaints, but we'll be talking about some of the diagnoses of the DSM-5 in class.